seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Yes, here we go. The bus is back. It's the TNF Thursday Night Forum. And David Logue, as you've realised already, is becoming a bit of a regular on this bus. He tried to steal the keys, but I've got them back, baby. And now, tonight is the night I hand them back over again, because the passengers take the keys on the TNF. And it's the passengers who give the Bhoycie bus the patter, the points that we are going to discuss. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm only thinking about Celtic tonight and no other game, David. How the hell are you?
I don't know what is there other games on the night? I have no idea what you're talking about. I was just looking forward to Saturday. You know, where the real competition is, the Copa del Kinch, as I called it on the post-match pish. So yeah, I'm doing good. All aboard the bus. Let's get cracking, lads and ladies, right. and whatever you choose to refer to yourself as.
I like that. That is being all-inclusive, which a bus is all about, mate. Now, obviously, the TNF is a wee bit in its infancy right now, but we do appreciate it. Obviously, we'll get through the formalities first, and you did a good job of this as well, by the way, the other week. Fanboyfootball.com. I've got some news on this. So the sponsorship is coming to an end at the end of the month. Now, it's not because they've stopped sponsoring the bus or they want to stop sponsoring. Fanboyfootball.com are going into what I would say, I don't know how to describe it, but they're going away for a while in general. Of course, we still have a wonderful relationship, and if they come back in whatever form they do, hopefully we'll be able to get them involved. But what it means is there is till basically the 31st of May to get a t-shirt, and then that's it. Unless I start sewing, you know what I mean? But I reckon this month will be the last month of the tees. So if you've not got one, obviously, you know, fanboyfootball.com. It's up the top right. If you've not, it's all good. There's other ways to support the channel, and they're ever growing, David, which is incredible. I logged into the old YouTube this evening and basically had a big notification thing saying, memberships now. If you want to become a member of the Bhoycie Bus via YouTube, there is an option to do that. Now, I cracked up because like the basic membership one says $3.99. The next one down, and I've not named this, YouTube have named this. It's genuinely called a bus pass. so YouTube are on the bus. I was like, so for $5.99 or something like that, you could become a member and actually buy an official bus pass, which is just brilliant. And it just makes you think, with people who, it's like getting run down by a train. I wonder how we've never seen this on other places before. Now we know, because the banned word is used. Bus pass.
Get subscribing, people. Get subscribing.
You're right below that, T. That was perfect.
That's it.
Yes. I'll do
click on that.
One wee more plug, and that is because there's no Double Down show. There's no post-match piss this weekend. We're going to do 2 shows on Sunday. Regan's Sunday Blether. Everyone seems to love that. Sitting eating a croissant. All right, fine. You're eating bacon rolls. I know. Square sausage. I get it. What do you all call square sausage, by the way? Lauren sausage? I never call it that. Call it square sausage. But anyway, we'll talk about that as well. But, and basically what I was going to say was, so Sunday we'll do the Sunday Blether, and then we might just do I think Phil McGinley, legend, and he goes, what about we call it the Sunday Sesh? So the Sunday Sesh, I think that's a good name. So we'll do that. That could be the equivalent, do you know what I mean, David, of post-match pish on Sunday, and we'll get all the usual faces on it, and we'll do that around 6-7 o'clock. So 2 for the price of 1 on Sunday. Basically, on Saturday night, I've kind of helped organise the date and time and place for my Christmas night out, totally forgetting what day that is and what the ramifications of that are. Brilliant to see so many of you on there. Step up and get your bus pass. That's what's oh Jesus, Brown Warrior. Feed the Bear. Bhoycie, put up a PayPal account and you can put in your channel. If you check the wee scrolling banner, there is a PayPal link there, mate. I can put it in for you. I do appreciate that feed, you big gentleman. I hope you're good. But I think it comes down the bottom anyway. But yeah, the Sunday Sesh is a very fitting name. I agree with that, mate. I agree with that. So it's paypal.me and / buy the boys. Yeah, and that's it. That's all the plugging I'm doing because it's really not my style. If you hit, there it is, their feed. Hit the like button. It does get us more traction. I know other people will be watching the dark side. I've got it on in the background myself. I can't lie. But hopefully, some of you get to join us and talk some Celtic as well. So we are looking to get talking points in. Obviously, David, I've not had a chance to obviously catch up with yourself about the match at the weekend. It was a brilliant experience for Regan. I mean, we had incredible seats for it, and it was wonderful experience to see the players up that close. I really enjoyed it. I thought Celtic could play better, if I'm honest, but I also think as well Celtic didn't play great but still got the job done. They had to win, couldn't get the job done, albeit they might do that tonight. But I feel like for me it was very much an exercise of job done. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, reflecting on the game now that I've had a chance to kind of watch it back, it was quite hats off to you, Bhoycie, for doing the post-match pish every week, and anyone else that does a show like this, because that was hard. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but it was difficult to juggle everything and trying to remember what had happened in the game and trying to take notes, that kind of stuff. So I managed to watch the game back a wee bit. Well, I watched the highlights back, and reflecting back on the match now, there seemed to be a lack of teeth in the match. There wasn't. It just didn't really. I was sitting and watching the game with my dad. He'd come up from Lincoln and we just got in time for the game kicking off. And we're both sitting there thinking, it doesn't feel like a derby match. It's just, like you said, it almost felt like job was already done in the Celtics' minds. And I think Rangers, let's be serious. I think they had one eye on the tie tonight. I don't think they were too. I think they'll never admit it, but I think they've already conceded the title's ours.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the fans certainly, you know, have got the excuses going. You know, we've got the other things to be worrying about, and maybe they do, but they can't. I mean, to say that they weren't interested in winning the title this year is, you know, they're kidding themselves on. But yeah, the match. Yeah, the first 5 minutes, I thought, like, what's happening? Why are we not? We should really be going for the juggler. Let's get this game dead and buried, and it just didn't feel like that at the start. And then we started to get a bit of rhythm after a couple of little scares. Rangers gave us a little scares at the start. I think that kind of woke us up a wee bit. But yeah, just there wasn't a killer instinct that I think we've seen this season. We did lack it.
See when Jota scores, I was seeing that 2-3-0 scoreline. You know, I thought that's once we got that first goal, I thought this will become one of those afternoons in the sun. And it didn't happen. You're right. And I thought it was for a Glasgow derby. I thought it was a bit tentative. It wasn't one of those games that will live long in the memory. I think, you know, if you were to say, you know, when Celtic effectively won the league in the 21-22 season, who scored the goal for Rangers or whatever, even on a Rangers form, they'll not have a clue, because it was one of those games that I think won't be long in the memory. But we've got to say a big shout out already, mate. First member, look at that in a nice green font,
Anthony Clark.
Wow, legend, mate. Thank you very much. That's quality, man. Thank you. I knew you saying my left foot is great like Alan Thompson. Go for the jugular. That's how you kill a circus. I like it. And Alan Thompson, could I just say, what a left foot. But we've got players now that have takers just as good as Alan Thompson. We've got guys like Jota right now edging closer or teasing us even more that they're going to sign. We've got other bits of quality in the side, well, a lot more quality in the side as well. But the first talking point comes in is Brown Warrior, who tends to be good value for talking points. And remember, guys, the reason we do the TNF is to get your views. Give us posts. We'll chew the fat on them. It's all good. I don't know what I was going to say there, but we'll chew the fat on them. I don't know what I was going to say. Brown Warrior comes in. He thinks Ange made a massive tactical error in the game, Russell. Hatate hooked at half-time and revert to a 2-1-3 rather than sticking with a 4-1-2-3. Well, the thing is, Ange did. I mean, tactically, yeah, that's fair enough. But the interesting thing was, I actually felt when we made personnel changes, you know, doing it in the big groups, I'm not convinced that's always the best way to do it. I think it can upset the rhythm. Even if you're not in the best of rhythms, I still think it can upset the apple cart. We talk about it in pre-season friendlies all the time. Why does it die off in the second half after you've done, you know, six or seven subs or whatever? And I think the answer is sometimes too many coming on at once. In terms of tactics, the 4-1-2-3 thing, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think Hatate's quite clearly a player that Ange has, you know, he likes him, right? You can tell he's one of his favourites right now at this point in time. And I know we don't like to say that Postecoglou picks anyone on anything but form. But for me, if that was the case, I think Hatate was a bit lucky. And what I think Brown Warrior's saying is he was wanting O'Reilly on alongside Rogic. Is that what you mean by 4-1-2-3? So it'd be McGregor with O'Reilly and Rogic further forward? I'm guessing that's what you mean. Or was it McGregor further forward with someone in there holding? I don't know. You can tell me. But I mean, he's back in now saying, you know, Hinks is Postecoglou's blind spot is Hatate. I think all managers have that, by the way. Now, we talk about tactics and I'm talking about substitutions now. To go slightly off-piste, last night we watched, I felt, one of the best Champions League games I've seen in a heck of a long time. I know this is a Celtic forum, but it was a game of massive magnitude. And the arrogance of Pep Guardiola, when you look at the names he took off, he genuinely thought the job was done. And I think it's very important when you see these examples at elite level, right? That shows you. See, when you're going to make changes, don't ever do them through complacency because you just don't know what's going to happen. just because it looks unlikely, or it looks, in fact, let's be honest, it didn't look like there was a chance in China of Real Madrid doing that, but they did. They absolutely did. And I just feel that with making subs for the sake of it, protect them for 5 minutes, I'm like, just give them half a day's training the next day. 5 minutes in a match, just, De Bruyne, don't take him off. De Bruyne, whatever you call his name. Scott Griffin's got to jump off the bus. That's all good, mate. I know you've not lost interest, my man. That's all good. Vital Celtic news. I'll tell you something. Vital Celtic news, we're going to be doing a wee bit of work with myself and the big man. Maybe getting a couple of wee interviews in the Vital Celtic news site. Check that out for loads of content as well. And he's saying, wait till Atati Maeda get a pre-season break under their belts, a proper rest, and these two will tear up the SPFL next season. I'm going to come to you on this, David, right? Because me and Jonathan spoke about it. Everyone will be bold of me repeating myself already. But see, with regards to pre-season this year, it's huge. Anthony Joseph must watch the bus because he's enhanced my point on Monday by adding the exact dates in. But he's saying this is the first time Celtic have had such a long pre-season. Wait for this, since the 2008-2009 season. So that tells you. I just think when you combine that with the fact that Tati Maeda had their season in Japan, I know some argue they had a break already before they came to Scotland, but I think they've played a hell of a lot of football. I think this break is going to be so brilliant for Celtic, particularly the guys like Vital Celtic News brings up, like Atati and Maeda. What do you reckon of that?
Yeah, I agree with Vital Celtic News, to be honest. I can't wait to see what they bring next season. I don't want to, like I said last week, I don't want to judge them too much on this season. What is it, seven goals and 2 assists for Maeda and 17 appearances so far? Not too bad for a guy that's, done a full season and a half almost now.
Good stat.
Yeah, that's it. Eat your heart out, Phil McGinley. Davey stats Logue here. That's about the only stats you're getting from me tonight. Anyway, Atati, yeah, he's run his course. Atati, I think he needs. I'd rest him for the rest of the last few games. I think we've got a strong enough midfield. We managed the first full season, the first half of the season without him. We can manage the last 3 games without him. Give him a rest. You've got David Turnbull on the bench there. You've got Gucci, who's apparently just unlucky not to be in the team. So if he's that unlucky, just put him in. If Ange has faith in him that he's just unlucky not to be getting in the squad, give him a run out. Whether it's maybe not Hearts, but certainly after the Hearts game, if we wrap up the league, I want to see what he can do. But yeah, I think next season is going to be where we'll see the real Maeda and the real Hatati. There's a player in there with Hatati. We've all seen it at Celtic Park in the first home game. We scudded them 3-0. I mean, the boy ran the show. I think that was a glimpse of the real Hatati. He's a bit erratic, and I think he's maybe 2 passes ahead of even himself. I don't think he even realizes that he's that far ahead of the gameplay. He's like, I think he thinks he's like, there's a goal coming here, and he's still in our defensive third. But when Maeda, once he gets the grip of how, you can already see he started to adapt. He started to adapt his game. I was saying to a client of mine today who he's not sure on Maeda yet either. And he says what he's impressed with is his pressing is just ridiculous. And I was saying to him today, I don't think he doesn't. At first I thought he's running a bit like a headless chicken, but when the more you watch it, there is a thought process to his tactics. Technically, not the best, most gifted footballer I think we've seen this season, but his assist on the weekend was what he brings the team at that quick change pace, like that blistering pace, and then just getting the ball whipped in. Sometimes we just need to get a ball whipped into the box, and then you're finding the big game Jota turned up and put it in the back of the net. So next season, I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do.
I think it's an interesting point you make about Atati, because I think, Maeda. I actually think with Maeda, you're right. I think at times his end product hasn't always looked the greatest. At times, it's sometimes like clumsy his first touch. But what you get with guys with his blistering pace and work ethic is the law of averages. Now, if he's getting himself into positions more times than anyone else in the park, one of them's going to come off. If he's getting himself into crossing positions like the one for Jota, on his left peg, that whip ball was absolutely outstanding. Have we seen him do that on a consistent basis when he's been in those positions? Probably not. But the law of averages will work out that he'll end up with great numbers next year. And yeah, I think it's interesting what William McKiernan comes in and says, and David Kelly, I know, who's a regular in the comment section as well. I've not seen him yet tonight. He's normally pretty lively in it if he is here, so he's obviously busy. I hope it's not watching the football. And William's saying, the Japanese season finished early November and they arrived here January. What more of a break do they need? I don't know enough about the Japanese end of season stuff, but the narrative that seemed to run at the time was they were already running on empty when they joined. And that seemed to be widespread in both the media, fan media, the lot, that these guys have done a full season when they come in and might need time, obviously they would need time to adapt coming from Japan anyway in most cases, but that we shouldn't expect maybe too much straight away. Now,
I mean, let's put it this way. Like, I mean, I'm the same as you. I don't know that. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know the Japanese league. But if William's saying it ends early November, then cool. He obviously knows that. But how many international games were played and were they picked? I mean, Maeda had to travel. He travelled to Celtic, signed the deal, did some training, and went straight back to Japan and played a few. I think he played a few games there, and then it's been a while since I've been on a long haul trip abroad. But it can be tiring even when you come back from a holiday and then you come back from a long haul holiday from working. You're still a wee bit fatigued when you first go back. It's so you got to get back into the rhythm of things. I think you got to give that into consideration. A new country, doesn't speak the language. There's a lot of different factors. It's what Hitati alluded to in that blog that he did. Like, he's also, not only is he physically tired, he's emotionally tired.
Yeah.
Now, back in the day, you'd probably go, but it's a different time now. You've got to take into consideration people's mental health, and if we don't know how much Hitati's a young lad. He could be struggling, adapting to living in Glasgow. This whole new culture. Let's remember what I said when I was first on the post-match, not the post-match press, the Double Doon show. It's a heavy shirt, the Celtic shirt, and a big expectancy. And obviously, Ange has got a lot of high expectations with these players. He's put his neck on the line bringing these boys in. All these different factors play. I think we can cut them a wee bit of slack, especially where we're sitting and what they actually already have contributed since arriving in January.
I think that's a brilliant point, mate. I think you're absolutely spot on as well. And Pete Scally, I've got to talk about that just very quickly. I'm just going to read out that comic because it's brilliant. If every player had the heart, the determination, and the engine of Maeda, it would be unplayable. And I think that's a great point. It'd be a different style, maybe slightly, but you're right. He's got the right sort of attributes, I think, to play for Celtic. The right attitude, right application, right effort, right desire, and the rest will come. And I think the big differences as well that we need to compare and contrast in terms of pre-season or having a winter break from Japan is pre-season is going to be with his teammates this time. It's going to be with Celtic. It's going to be 7-8 weeks condensed. I don't know how many they'll actually be training in those 5 or 6 weeks under Ange's tutelage with his teammates. That's going to really work wonders for them as well. But we will move on, because a name's cropped up by Les Watts and Phil McGinley, actually, just literally the same minute they both sent it. Now, Les doesn't think Ange will change things yet. Why should he? But personally, he would have Turnbull in for Hitati. But I've not been on a football pitch for 30 years. Fair enough, Les. And Phil's coming in with a serious question, lads. What do you think the future is for David Turnbull? He's been back from injury for a while now, but seems down in the pecking order. Not Julian levels, mind you. I think Turnbull is rated by Ange. I think the reason you've maybe not seen the integration of guys like Julian, guys like Turnbull, as much as what you would maybe have expected, is because we had a league to win. I genuinely think Andrews went, no risks. You know, those two centre-backs are my partnership. They've played, I don't know how many games in a row they've started, but it's got to be a lot anyway. And I think that is, let's say, out the last 35 games, how many have started with Starfelt, or how many have started without Starfelt or CCV? Even more drastic. Like, you know, it's definitely, normally you would be bringing in Julian for Camus. He's just not taking any chances. Turnbull, obviously, if he's like an attack, he's winning games. He's winning football matches. The league's still not won yet. Can you really risk bringing guys back from injury, David, when so much is at stake?
Yeah. If it's not broken, don't fix it, you know. And it's one of the things I think we are screaming out for a wee bit of change, because it feels like it's getting a little bit stale near the end. And, you know, Andrew's giving it all, you know, at this time of the season, this is when my squad's at their fittest, and this is when they're going to be rampant. And I'm not seeing that yet. I haven't seen that. Apart from the St. Johnstone game, we haven't really seen that. I'd like to see a wee bit of change. But yeah, David Turnbull's future, I see a future for him at the club. I don't see him getting shipped out anywhere. I think Ange rates him. He obviously trusted him quite a lot at the beginning of the season. Like he was one of our most consistent players until he got injured. You know, it's just one of those ones where he's just not managed to. There's not been a reason to put him back in the team.
Sure.
Argument's sake, maybe we're starting to see a reason to bring him into the team near the end of the season. But is it enough to keep him there? I don't know. He's a very good football player, and we're told he's not going to suit Ange's playing style. You know, that's what coaches are for, to coach them into playing in his style. So I think we'll see. I think we're going to see a bit more of Turnbull next season.
Yeah, I think right now, whilst the league's still there to be won, and it's still technically will still be there to win, even if we beat Hearts at the weekend, albeit it is done. I think it's only really, Ange isn't going to ever be someone to rest on his laurels. I've turned the game off. You could tell us what the score is in Glasgow. Over to our correspondent, Chris Kamara.
Was there? Was it Jeff? I must have missed it. I believe it's went 2-1 to it's 2-1 to Rangers, I believe. So I've been told. I'm watching the West Ham game.
Good, Pat. Now, a couple of other points have come in. Young Liam Cole is in the comments, as is Brian Galt. Both of them feel, one saying a combative midfielder, one saying a midfield bruiser. I think what they're both meaning is, you know, the same thing, really. You know, a physical presence in the midfield. I think some are inclined to think Callum McGregor could be the physical presence in midfield. I'm not convinced. I'm not sold on it. I think he's got, you know, real battling abilities, but I think physically, is he someone that imposes himself in a game in that sort of way? Not so sure.
No.
I know I could question his heart and his desire. He gets absolutely stuck in. Yes, he does. But I mean someone, you know, I think these guys are meaning someone you could say of a Victor Wanyama, you know, but I don't mean when I say that Victor Wanyama. His time has been and gone.
Long gone.
But someone of that ilk. Now, I know they must be hard to find. Can't deny it. But let's
go to the viewers, boys. Let's go to the viewers there. Within our means, okay, let's be realistic here. If there was a player of that ilk that you as a fan could sign, if there's someone like, because right now I can't think of anyone right now, but if you want a player of that kind of those attributes, who ideally would you like to see Celtic sign? This is all just a bit of fun and games. Obviously, there's no rumours out there to suggest that any of these players are coming in. But if there was someone you viewers would love to see like Celtic sign, like a Joe Ledley, like one of these players that like he's a vote. Like I don't think we kind of expected to sign Joe Ledley when we did. I think maybe he could have went straight to the Premier League, but we got him. So a player of that kind of calibre, if there was someone out there right now that we could sign, who would you go for? There's plenty of Burnley players of that ilk, I imagine. You know, big physical lads. I can't think of any Scott Brown players kind of went after.
it's very difficult to try and establish as well what sort of market Celtic will be able to shop in the summer. You know, obviously we know the riches, the jackpot that comes in by winning the league or whatever. We know Celtic's already sitting on a healthy bank balance right now because we publish our accounts and they're always in profit. But what I would say is it's going to be very insightful, I would say. If we manage to say, let's say in an ideal world, we get both CCV and Jota over the line, we know that's the chunks of what? 13 million out the door straight away, right? I don't know. I know it's done in installments and that, but realistic, we're going to look at that as that's 13 million pound of this summer's budget gone, because we're probably still paying the third installment for a Yeti this summer. I know, mate. I know. But are we going to be able to then go back into a market for key positions that Ange feels he needs to strengthen, with the sort of fees of 5-6 million? More than twice? I'm not so sure. But that doesn't mean it would be a less player. Now, very interestingly, we'll bring up some comments, some of the ideas we're getting. Brian Galt wants Lewis, Ferguson. Terry Robb's first suggestion, Ferguson,
yep.
Boys in Green saying Ideguchi's defensive mid. I think I totally get it. The point what we're discussing though, Boys in Green, is would it be is he physical enough? Again, are we needing, because the comment that came in was feel we need a midfield bruiser, feel we need a combative midfielder. I wonder if we need someone who's going to play the game a wee bit dirty. It might not suit Ange. Ange might go, that's football for dinosaurs, you know, we're not playing like that. And that's fine. I think there's always a place for a mix, you know. Whilst I've panned Guardiola's subs, you know, making subs last night before the job was done. You look at a Fernandinho, for example, coming in. Now, is he a standard Guardiola player? Far from it. But yet he's been there the whole time, Guardiola has. Obviously, he was at City already. But I think in terms of that profile, it would be nice to see Celtic with more of a physical sort of dominance as well. And it doesn't need to be that we play long balls all the time and that, but being able to mix it, being able to adapt. Now, I'm also going to raise one more wee thing, right? Talking about that game last night. How often did you see Man City go long in the first half? Plenty of times. I mean, plenty. And that Ederson loves to try and play football, curling them up the left, hitting them long up the right, just to get out, just to ensure that Real Madrid never got flowing in the other half. That to me proved there is an argument for that type of tactic as and when it's needed. If these guys are doing it in Champions League semi-finals, we can afford to do that in our games as well. And I definitely think that is easier done when you've got more physicality in the team. It doesn't need to be every week. I think you just need a combination. It's a squad game now, David, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think Ange's made it pretty clear that he's a squad man. He's not got his favoured 11. Arguably, he's kind of stuck to the same guys near the end of the season. But I think over the whole course of the season, he's quite happy to chop and change things. He doesn't tinker, which I like. I think Pep, he tinkers a little bit too much, which we saw last year in the final. He didn't even play Fernandinho. We'll get away for City because this is a Celtic podcast, you know. But it's a perfect example, like, of what you're saying is you want a physical player, but that can still come in and play the Ange way. You know, he's a ball player. Like, he can do all the nice slick passing and the good pressing and everything. But if he needs to take the ball in the corner and hold it up in the corner, or just break up a bit of play if somebody catches us in the break, if we're pressing high, we need to be able to call to those kind of players. We can't always be the slick, fast, sexy team. We sometimes need to just get a bit of dirt on our knuckles, and on our fingernails, and just be gritty. We could really do a bit of grit in our team sometimes, and I don't think we have that. When and it becomes evident when other teams are starting to get on top of us playing that way. We don't play fire with fire sometimes,
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, Liam Collo comes in, and that season, that 07-08 season, the year we won it for Tommy, I mean, that was amazing, that season, that whole run in, the mind the gap part was brilliant. And again, it was funny because it was Scott Brown, who was more of a sort of box-to-box midfielder then, with a lot of attacking intent compared to the Scott Brown we instantly get in our, sort of think of, when you imagine Scott Brown in the park. But when he first came in, he was doing tricks and stuff. He was running by players. He was beating players, taking them on, scoring the odd goal. And he was playing with Massimo Donati a lot. Massimo Donati was so tidy on the ball, but I felt a lot went left and right. It was a lot of, looked okay, but what was the end product? And he wasn't at it that way, and he wasn't really contributing with goals either. And then you got Barry Robson and Paul Hartley, who were making impacts when they were involved. And then the second half of the season, they just became the partnership, rolled up the sleeves, and dragged us to that title. With a big assist, by the way, from a certain Georgios Samaras on loan, which people probably forget. He was a huge signing then. But I definitely think Liam's that type of player, Liam. I would love, mate. And
have we maybe got that? Have we maybe got that on loan in Liam Shaw? I mean,
I've not seen enough. I've not seen enough.
Yeah, I'm viewers. If any of you have kept an eye on how he's been doing it, Motherwell, like
he's not been getting in.
Is he not?
No.
He's
not even getting a game at Motherwell, mate.
All right, okay, well, just because I thought we've seen a little bit, in that. Did he played in the Europa League game against Betis, didn't he?
I think he
did. And the other boy that's on loan, he came with him for Sheffield.
No, they're both permanent. They're both permanent.
Yeah, I think he's got a loan to buy move out there. I think.
Okay.
Seen some compilation video of him putting in some heavy tackles in this league. So I don't know if maybe one of these boys are that player that we just need to develop a bit more. But I don't know. Like I thought Liam Shaw was going to have a good move out there, but if it's not worked, it's not ideal. But
no.
Pull him back in. Then I don't like. What good's that? Good's that? Okay. Well, looks like we're going to see a news just in.
3-1.
Okay.
You know what? It's interesting because
what is it with Scottish teams in Seville?
I know we can get wound up by it, but we can hate them and we can say, "Oh, it's shite. We're going the league anyway." We can get down the Celtic Rangers pettiness. See, to me, it makes me hungry. I watch it and I go, "Do you know what?" I was nearly sounding like Neil Lennon there, but like it makes me watch that and I go, "I want a bit of that. I want a bit of that." I don't understand why we've struggled so often in Europe playing it. And as I always say, the teams that we've been out to, have been so. Like, it's fine if we can't compete in the people think we can compete in the final fours of tournaments, but they're doing it. They're doing it. We're about to beat them in the league. So I think European football, we should be watching that and going,
yep,
that's now feasible again to do well in Europe. They've kind of, in fairness, they've set the bar a wee bit, I think, and kind of made our past decade in Europe, to me, look a wee bit shite, if I'm completely honest to you, for want of a better word. Now, what I think is that shouldn't be something. Yeah, obviously we can have all the rivalry and that's fucking fine, sound. But what I'm saying is, on a footballing context, a team from Scotland is potentially on the brink now of making a European final. Celtic went out of the tournament below it to Bodo Glimt. Celtic went out at the Europa League last 16 to Copenhagen. Celtic have went out in qualifiers to Cluj, teams like this, Ferencváros. The list goes on. So I just feel right now we've got to be looking at that and going, I want a piece of that. Don't spend your life being spiteful or jealous of it. What you want to do really is you just hear a dog running there. Big black Labrador just ran in, it's fine. What you're really wanting to do though is look at it and go, let's do better. Let that be a bar that's been set now, and let's match it. We can do it. Of course we can.
it's where European football's been set up to stop teams like Celtic and Rangers doing well, and it's one of those we've just look at how they tried to set up the Champions League. They couldn't make it any more difficult for the champions of our league to get into the European games. Never mind getting to a semi-final. Never mind a final. So hats off to them. Fair play. Like as you say, like we've got we can have all that rivalry and we're a bit envious of Jesus. They've got to if it stays the way it is, they're getting to a final and cool. We have to then go right. There is no fucking reason why we can't do that.
Yep.
We just need to get our fucking arses in gear and start, performing. Start stepping up to these teams that we shouldn't be getting beat off of.
Yep.
Shouldn't be getting off of. No disrespect to these teams that beat us. These teams have beaten us.
Sure.
We should be. Paradise used to be a fortress, a place that people were terrified to come and play their football. In the last few years, it's been a bit powder puff at Parkhead, and people, they get their tails wagging when they go, we could, we wind them up enough, we'll get a result at Celtic Park, and we have to stop that. Rangers have managed to make Ibrox a place to be feared to play in. These big teams are coming to Ibrox and they're nervy, and the atmosphere that they've created has made it nervy for the opposition fans. We have to start doing that as well again and start putting Celtic where they should be in European football, and there's no reason why Ange can't do it. There is no fucking reason why. And that's proof right there.
Red Scotland has his doubts about Ange ball in Europe. He's now saying, domestically we can dig them out, but against silky European sides, sometimes we're a bit off it. I kind of get where Red Scotland's coming from in that, and thanks for jumping on the bus, Red. If you are watching, there's over 50 watching live. I know there's other football sometimes people are caught up in and all that, but if you are watching, do hit the like button, hit subscribe. If you want to join as a member, there's a button there as well. We will do some exclusive stuff for all that as well as a wee reward. Now, there was an interesting point. Back to Celtic, by the way. That's enough of that.
Aye, that's enough of that.
But there was an interesting point. Yeah, Pete Scally music comes in. I like this. How much wages can we free up by getting rid of Ajeti, Johnston, Forrest, Sorrow, McCarthy, Bolingoli, and Julian? Now, to me, just quickly on face value, I would say that's over £100,000 in wages. Over 100 grand in wages right there. Ajeti wouldn't have left the EPL for what, less than 20, I would imagine, 15, 20.
You've got Barkas in that list there as well.
Yeah, he'll be on 10 to 15. Week number one when we signed him. James Forrest must be on a good 15, I would imagine. He's been there for ages. Sorrow will be minimal. McCarthy, I don't know what sort of deal he got. He got a 4-year deal, which I would imagine would have tempered what his wages would be. But again, I think maybe 15 grand. Bolingoli will be 10 to 15 grand. Julian, probably one of the bigger earners, 20 to 25. Someone can add that up for me. But that's over 100 grand anyway in wages. And that's interesting that even the list that Pete Scally Music's put there, is there anyone on the list you're surprised to see? Because obviously what Pete is subliminally saying is these are the guys he sees leaving Celtic this summer.
There's not really any surprises there because there's not anybody I would take off that list. I wouldn't be overly bothered if they left, and that's just the harsh truth of it. I'm looking at Johnson's name there, and it's a player that we had so much faith in the last few seasons. But how many chances does he get? And Ajeti is a player that really frustrated me because he seemed like when he came in, I thought this is our new Gary Hooper. I thought Lennon bought him to be Gary Hooper 2.0. And I think the first couple of games he kind of showed why I thought that. He looked like a predator in the box, and then it's just not worked out. And for a player that you bring in for 5 million and he's not producing what you'd expect for a player of that, in today's market, that's not a lot of money, to get from a Premier League team. But in the grand scheme of things, he should, for coming up to Scotland, he should really have been doing better. So I would be happy to see him leave. Julian's a difficult one. Julian's one of the ones where it's like, I could see why we could probably just move him on now. because I don't think he's going to come back the player that he was. There was always a bit of question marks on him sometimes as well, about like up against physical centre forwards.
I liked him.
But he always had a big goal in him. He did, and he gets it. He does get it. But there's not a player there that I would be overly fussed about leaving. So I could have to say it's a fair list. If there's, I don't know if there's maybe someone whose career could maybe be revitalised. I thought Sorrow had a bit. I thought Sorrow could have been the guy that could have been our next sort of Wanyama or next. A player that we could have.
Too high risk. He's just a booking a game.
Yeah.
A booking a game, David, and you're going, you can't afford that in the magnitude of games Celtic play. Unfortunately, every game at Celtic matters. Fortunately for us, but unfortunately for guys like Sorrow, who for me, we just didn't have the time, whether it be last season or this season. Such was the nature of it. And you know what? We'll find an excuse for next season to mean even more as well. It's the nature of the beast. And I just feel that, Sorrow, unfortunately, Sorrow, though, unfortunately, he was just a booking away. Every game he was a booking. So I don't see any benefit in that. I wanted to bring up another comment. Now, where was it? It was Red Scotland again, but it was good. I agree with this, David. I'd rather we spent more on fewer players in order to increase the quality over quantity. I think Celtic's pool of players now is such that it proves sometimes that having so many projects can lead to a squad that's just far too big. Now, we can't operate at this stage yet with a team that costs, 6 million a player, for example, and stuff like that. But definitely, I think there's an argument now to say the foundations and everything are there of a really, really good team, particularly if we get the 2 loan boys permanently, as it seems we're edging closer to do. I think Red Scotland's got a point there. I think, in terms of what happens next, David, I think it's got to be about adding finishing touches, guys that go straight into your first team plans, if not the first team itself. Very much like the impact Maeda and Hatate's had so far. I want to see guys like that coming in again, that again raise the bar, because we can never afford to stand still. And we've got to try and back Ange as well. He's not going to accept this summer only getting the same level of some of the players he brought in as last summer. He's wanting the ones he got right, in particular like Kyogo, for example. He's wanting guys of that ilk, and if they all cost 4.5 million, but it's only 3 or 4 of them, go get them. I think definitely there is no point in us bringing in another 8, 9, 10 players this summer. No. Even if 8, 9 are shipping out, I think the squad to me is a wee bit bloated now, and I think the way we can do it with Ange is just have 2 guys for each position. 2 guys for each position. 22-player squad with 3 goalies. I don't think that's unrealistic. I think Celtic are probably over 30 right now, first team squad players, and that just seems ridiculous. If we do a cult, it frees up wages. We've got money in the bank. Then the additions we do make them quality, and make it be existing players that have to fight to get back in the team, as opposed to bringing in players to sort of be backups to the guys already there, because I don't think that's progressive enough, in my opinion.
No, I have to agree with you. I think I agree with the comment as well. Look how quickly we went from, we've not got anyone. If somebody's out, we've got nobody, to suddenly it's like we've got so many players. We're almost debating on who should start. We could play Jota out on the left. Now, we need Maeda to play left. We could put Jota on the right then. What about Abada? We need Abada on the right. But what about Kyogo? He could play out on the left. Now it's getting to the point where it's like it's almost, we're spoilt for choice, to the point that we've got almost a headache. But there are parts of the team that we could do with dripping in a wee bit more quality. We've got players that they do what Ange's asking them to do well, and they've got the commitment, and they've bought in, but they're just lacking that little bit of quality. And it's just a case of, we've got the foundation sorted. We've got the main bits of the house sorted. We just now need to start getting the wee bit of the decorations. It's just going to that nice painting on the wall that's going to brighten up the living room a bit more. You know, that nice bit of expensive art. Then that's going to have good resale value in the future as well. You know, I think that's kind of what we're needing.
That's good points, mate, and I like that analogy. But Feed the Bear has become a member. Yes, love it, mate, love it. And I think Red Scotland's laughing at the weekly bus pass thing. Maybe he's just seen the membership thing as well. I didn't name it bus pass. YouTube call it a bus pass, which I've got to say, it made me laugh a lot. And that will definitely affect other YouTube channels being able to advertise the membership scheme. But thank you, Feed the Bear, you big legend. Stephen Thompson's in. Stephen's been on the bus a couple of times. Good lad. And he's saying he thinks another 5 players to come in. Now, see when you think about it, 5 players isn't a crazy summer. It's not going to be anything like the influx of players last summer. How many players do you think this Celtic squad needs to add to the group right now? It's not always about numbers either. And I think that's the point Red Scotland's trying to make. See if we get the 2 guys in on loan and maybe spend, I don't know, 10, 11 million pounds on it. And it's not all about money, by the way. Let's just say they're of that ilk and we've had to push the boat out to get them, whatever the fee may be. See if we've done that and got just another 2 in that are real quality, that and just pushed the board at him. Like, no. I've got 4 guys at the top of the list. 2 of them are the loan signings. There's the other 2 at the top of the list. Go get me them. Rather than coming back to me and saying, well, we can't get either of them, but we can get you 3, 4, and 5. Do you know what I mean? So that you're getting an extra player. But Stephen Thompson was also saying he thinks the squad's going to need to be kept bigger. The reason he thinks it's going to need to be big is the style of football that Ange wants to play, such the demands. There's a relative point because we've seen the amount of injuries at the start of the season, but I've got a feeling that this extended pre-season camp we get with Celtic, a first since the 2008-2009 season, and all with players under Ange. And if we combine that with getting our business done early, like we did in January, and it looks like we're looking to do by the early appointment of Mark Lawwell, then I think the combinations are there for the squad, maybe to be better suited to taking on this season. Maybe the squad doesn't need to be quite as big as what we first thought. I think they'll look different in terms of fitness come next season. I think the squad will be able to manage it a lot better. That's thanks to the pre-season. Thanks to all, having a year now already under Postecoglou as well, under their belts. I'm not convinced the squad will expand or be overly large. I think we will see it trimmed with maybe 8, 9 out the door, 4 or maybe 5 in. But I would like to see it being based on quality and not quantity.
Yeah, I think that it's hard to argue that. And it's a good point. The style of play, we did pick up a lot of injuries, and look how quickly they all started to pile up, like one after the other. It wasn't like, oh, we've just lost a guy for a couple of weeks and he'll be back, and it overlaps another injury. We had like 3 or 4 hamstrings pinging left, right, and centre.
I know.
So hopefully, we've seen it with Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool, and I'm not comparing the sides at all before anyone jumps on that, but they had a lot of similar problems when he first came in because of his intense style of training and style of football. But I couldn't tell you that the last major injury that they had that's affected their squad. So I think once our players adapt to that, we'll not be too, hopefully not too. I mean, it's what you can't predict that. You can't predict an injury, right?
No.
But I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we're going to see a lot less hamstrings getting pinging next season,
Totally.
and we can keep the core of the squad. Yeah, we can let a few guys go to make room for some of quality coming in.
Right.
So yeah, it's finding a balance of keeping a healthy size squad with a bit of sprinkling a bit of quality in there for competition for places.
Yeah. That's what I want. I spoke about this with even the Joe Hart situation. I know Scott was talking earlier, but we were talking about another thing at the time, and he was suggesting, Scott Cameron was suggesting about Xander Clark coming in as competition for Joe Hart. Now, I don't know. Xander Clark's done well in the SPFL. He looked all right in the couple of European ties for St Johnstone, albeit they scored a few goals. But what I would say is, rather than just pulling a name out of the hat, because we've got no idea who these guys will be looking at, Lawwell, Ange seems to have curveballs left, right, and centre that he's going for to sign. But what I would say is that I would love to see Joe Hart's position getting pushed. Scott Bain's effectively accepted he's a number 2. That means Joe Hart knows he's playing every week. I'm not saying that's had a negative impact on his performances, but in time, it can play a part, because complacency for a position is unhealthy for any team. And what I'm wanting is guys to come in and go, oh no, I'm taking your jersey, whether that be Joe Hart, whether that be Greg Taylor right now, whether it be Carl Starfelt, whether it be a holding midfield, coming on. There's only 11 jerseys, one of them's mine, so you better back up. And all you get is that raising the bar then of the existing players. Now, the Red Barons came in. What are we going to do? I need to bring this up? Oh, Jesus Christ. He can't believe he's done it. He feels like crying. He loves us all. I had to bring it up. Red Baron's been a good supporter of the show. Enjoy your night, Red Baron.
Enjoy your night, mate.
I'm glad you thought of your good Celtic pals straight away, mate. I'm glad of that. And you look after Seville, you bastard. I'm telling you. You look after that place. That's ours. Right, okay. In comes Celts on the hill. I like it. Good morning, Bhoycie. See, it's all getting busy now because I think people have been watching a certain game. What
West Ham fans in this.
What West Ham fans, mate?
Unlucky.
So we were talking about in terms of volume, but this is a great talking point. And I think now that we're getting towards the end of the season, it's a good time to bring it up. And Dahalo LP does. And I'm guessing the 4 positions he's leaving there are what he thinks Celtic require in the summer. A goalkeeper, a left back, a midfielder. What the fuck's an FF?
A fast forward.
A fast forward.
We've got one of them.
I don't know what the FF is, but it raises a good point. Yeah, it's punked up. Because it makes us all think. What positions, everyone's got a different opinion on where we need to strengthen. Where do you think we need to strengthen, David?
Right wing. It's one of my first ones.
Right wing?
Yeah, right wing.
How come?
I think I've always been a big advocate of James Forrest. I just think he's getting to the point of his career where I'm not saying he should, ride out into the sunset.
Sure.
But I just feel like obviously Abada's maybe going to be our main right winger. I think Jota's going to be kind of kept more on the left. So I just think Abada's young, and we've seen this season he's his form's dipped a wee bit, and he comes back in. We just need maybe somebody there to keep his consistency going. I don't think James Forrest is the guy to do that anymore. And it pains me to say it because I've always been a big James Forrest fan.
It's a shame. He showed a wee flicker though, didn't he? It was Livingston, wasn't it, when he scored that goal away, and it looked like it just looked like James Forrest from 3 years ago, just like transported into that match when he did it. It was brilliant. But I agree with you. I think in terms of James Forrest, I wonder if you'll be able to hack. Maybe, conversely, this full pre-season under Ange might see a lease life. He's hardly old. He's been 3 years younger than me.
But he's just like you said, he's lost a fair bit of pace, and I think he's almost lost a bit of confidence that he can take on a man. You used to be able to. You've got him for pace every day of the week. You had pretty much every defensive player on toast, and he's just late. I was like, I can see it when I watch him. He's terrified. He doesn't want to risk taking on the man, and that was a big part of his game. He just beating man down the line, get in the box, and I haven't seen it, and I'm just worried that maybe like we're starting to pass him by a wee bit, and I guess it pains me to say that, and people might totally disagree with me, and that's totally fine. But just from what I've seen this season, I'd like to see another right winger come in.
Okay.
I'd like maybe Abada be our main right winger, and have someone come in and push him and see that competition start, and that'll really push on Abada, because that boy's a player. I think he's got a good future ahead of him. And then you got Dembele, his spot. Yep, let Forrest go and offered. Yep. Is he got a sing?
We've got a player, mate, under our noses that was literally world renowned about 7 years ago. Do you know what I mean? And expected to be, a serious baller. It's not quite worked out that way so far. But he's under the right manager now, I think, as well, to enhance his career, if he can get fully fit. Again, could he be someone that... Remember, he was on the wrong end of a shocker of a challenge in pre-season as well. A shocker. And Ange was involved in him. You wonder if Karamoko goes in to pre-season. That's like a new signing. He's about 19 by now, I'm sure. And if under Ange, you would like to think if that player is still in there, which there'll be no reason why not, then if anyone's going to bring it out of him, it'd be Ange. There's some money saved as well.
He's out of contract. Is he not out of contract in the season though? And that's my worry, that he's going to move on.
I don't think his stock's high enough for it to be a move. What's the point? You're not going to get a game going to an EPL club. He's not going to get in their team, and it's not going to be of the repute that of the scouts that were looking at him before. His agent was probably going, "You're out of here, by the way, when you're 16, son." I think I've got a feeling that'll be done.
But then look at that Oko Flex away to West Ham. I mean, what was his stock wasn't high, and he got picked up by West Ham, and I think he's been getting some game time. That's yeah, I think I'm sure he's been on at least been on the bench a couple of times. I might be wrong. I'm sure I've seen him sitting on the bench one game I was watching the telly, and I thought, wow, he's getting, his stock wasn't high. What was the highlight of his Celtic career was he was caught on camera saying things he probably shouldn't be saying.
No, mate. I know. It comes Hail times 2, who I was saying Hail times 2 the other night, which would be Hail. He's
all
saying,
the hails.
He's saying goalkeeper, left back, defensive midfielder. We're going to guess he means a physical one, and a right winger as well. So we're seeing some sort of parallels here, some sort of similarities, a pattern forming. People seem to all agree that the club are definitely looking to get a left back. I think Greg Taylor has performed. He's exceeded my expectations this season. You know that, and fair play to him. I definitely think we can upgrade that position. Doesn't mean Greg Taylor, though, under Ange, can't then go one up and that sort of fighting for competition like we see with Alston and Juranovic is so healthy, David. It's brilliant, that competition. It creates debates that actually get Celtic fans raging with each other. I think that's what I want all over that team, all across the board. And I'm going to throw my one in. Centre forward, mate. What's been the most depleted area when we didn't have Giakoumakis and Kyogo and Maeda was having to play through the middle? It just didn't work. Abada potentially could do it. Not sure. I would get a third striker in that you could rely on to be, right, okay, those two aren't there, and they are going to be Kyogo and Giakoumakis likely to be the front two, although I see Kyogo, although the Jota deal's happening, I think Kyogo could still be used out wide. Potentially we'll see us play two strikers at times next season. Ange alluded to that, didn't he, David? Recently, he said before the Rangers game, I could start them both. And he was meaning that as in two centre forwards. I think another striker would be good. I think a goalie would be good. I think a left back would be good. Physical presence in midfield. Right winger, I'm on the fence on. Your heart says James is still going to come back, man. And that Karamoko, your heart definitely tells you that he could go on and flourish and become the next worldie that we've produced since Kieran Tierney. But it's a good debate, actually. It definitely is.
The prophecy may come true with Karamoko.
You never know, mate. You never know. This has been an hour and 5 minutes. The TNF is at its busiest point right now. We know we clashed with the game, but you can catch up on YouTube. You can hit the like button. You can hit subscribe still as well to get it appearing on more people's YouTube home screens that are obviously Celtic supporters as well, which is important. It's been a disappointing night in Europe for most, but it's all about the Celtic. It's all about the next trophy in the bag. The next trophy we can effectively win, if we've not already, is this weekend against Hearts. We will probably do another show to preview that actually tomorrow night, since the Double Doon's not on. So I will, we'll do something tomorrow night. I'm free anyway. I'll come up with something. I always come up with a plan. We won't be doing a post-match push on Saturday. I was telling the boss earlier, it clashes with my work and then with my work night out that I kind of organised. And that work are kind of paying for, so I've kind of got to go. But we'll do Sunday, the Sunday blether with Regan Stevenson around brunch time. Sort out your hangovers with young Regan's great patter. We've got Scott Cameron guesting him and another. I'm not sure who yet, might even be me. And then we'll go around tea time. I've not got a set time, and we're going to do the Sunday sesh, which will be the equivalent of a post-match push. And we'll get 4 or 5 of us on, and we'll just talk about the Hearts game at length and the ramifications of it, and all the usual pish that we talk. David Logue, I can't thank you enough, mate. It's been another edition of the TNF, episode 3 already. Give us a like, give us a share. Hit join if you want to become a member. We've got 2 new ones already. Buy a t-shirt. Why not? Take it easy, guys. Have a brilliant night. Thanks for tuning in. See you.
Take care. See you later.
The seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that?